Hi, I'm Tony Jackson with LivAbility Magazine, and we are here in Tempe, Arizona at the headquarters of Evil Controllers. And joining me today, the founder and CEO of Evil Controllers, Adam Coe. Adam, how's it going today?
Great, thanks for having me.
Good, I'm super excited to be here today. I went to the Phoenix Gaming Convention in August and was looking around hoping to see some adaptive gaming options there and didn't find a single thing. And I knew that Evil Controllers was here, and I know that adaptive gaming is one of the big things that you all do. And so I thank you for letting us come down here today and check out your setup, and it's awesome. And hopefully we can try to figure out a gaming rig for me today.
Absolutely, happy to help any way in accessibility awareness, and absolutely creating peripherals for gaming is what we specialize in. The adaptive gaming sector kind of came naturally. I started with just relocating buttons for myself, allowing me to access more inputs faster. And then I had some requests online for a one-handed controller, actually, for an amputee. So just being creative with button placements, I was able to relocate functions to make it more accessible for them. So it started off very simple, and now it's grown into a larger product lineup, and hundreds of controllers made sense.
So Microsoft created the Xbox adaptive controller. That was a huge breakthrough in terms of the adaptive gaming community. Where do you kind of see it going from here? Do you see other companies starting to create adaptive gaming accessories for people?
It's something that I would like to see more of course. With so many different limitations, you need different designs, which requires different hardware and different brains and different companies using their teams and coming up with their own approach to the designs. So it's really growing quite a bit, but I think there's still a tremendous amount of growth. The beauty of accessibility is the fact that each design kind of complements and creates a new standard or a new pathway for another design. So the time it takes, for example, a one-handed controller is a challenging design if maybe you're an amputee and you're missing an arm. But ultimately the solution is relocating buttons to an accessible position. So once I understand the person's mobility, I'm able to design around that using different buttons and different strategies. So this one in particular is a righty controller, so it's going to be for someone with limited mobility on their left side, maybe an amputee, or simply can't operate comfortably the controller. So what we use our paddles on the back side here, which we use for our shift controller, for a competitive controller. So here's an example of making a competitive feature that actually translates to accessible gaming. So with those paddles, you're able to relocate functions to the paddles. So essentially, if I'm unable to use the left side of the controller, these inputs are hard for me to reach, the thumbstick most definitely. I can relocate them to these paddles down here and then use this button as well for, say, for example, the thumbstick click. So with that, you're able to actually use your palm, your fingers on the underside. You can actually hold the controller and operate it. Additionally, you have a thumbstick here, so you can place this, say, below your chin, mount it in front of your face, on your knee even, or a table, using whatever you're able to function comfortably with. And you can even mount it to the underside of the controller. With a simple adhesive, you'd stick it on there, then you'd be able to play entirely one-handed.
That's awesome.
So this is an example of kind of the evolution of things for accessibility.
When I was a kid, there was the Atari 2600 and the Nintendo, NES and Super NES and all those things. And as gaming systems got more and more robust, so did the controllers, and it became harder and harder to play. I mean, this standard PS4 controller has 8 buttons, 2 joysticks, and a D-pad on it. Right? And so it became impossible for me to play. So I'm really excited today to kind of see what we can come up with here while we're here, and maybe I can get some gaming in.
Absolutely.
All right, let's
excited to do it. Let's do it.
Perfect. Let's check it out.
So ultimately what I do is I just try to understand the person's mobility.
Right.
Yeah, because once I understand, generally people are trying to game with the controller as much as they can.
Yeah, sure.
And then once I understand around the controller, then I make recommendations on should it be in a completely different housing, should it be a sub or a hybrid of a controller and the thumbstick or this or that. But what I would recommend is the thumbsticks are kind of in the way. These are functional. Essentially, we don't have to use the controller. Now, this is what's great about the thumbstick here, is that we would just take a new housing for example, a rectangular housing, add buttons anywhere specifically. If these were too close, we could spread them apart. We can enlarge them, taller, shorter. We can make them very sensitive. That's another thing. A lot of gamers need them to be more sensitive. A lot of the times a game comes out and you have to rapidly press X to run. And it's
like the track and field games
kind of
back
takes,
in the day.
yeah, it takes Red Dead Redemption and your horse and going for miles is fun, but not when it's strenuous to press the button.
And if you're someone who has muscular dystrophy as well, you can't press really fast or for very long, right? And so that's interesting.
Yeah, you'll find that hardware will fix it, but you always need both.
Right. So my new friend Adam and I were able to come up with a little rig here that I could use to play Rocket League. He essentially took that pad that we had worked on and soldered it to some wires and hooked it into the Xbox adaptive controller. I was able to control the vehicle with that, flip around, horribly try to hit the ball a little bit, but it was really cool that we were able to make a button configuration that I could use. So it was really cool. This is the first console video game that I have played in probably 7 years, easily. So thanks to Evil Controllers, putting in all the hard work so that way I could play a game. So we're gonna keep working on this, and hopefully at some point maybe I'll be at a tournament somewhere. So until then, for LivAbility Magazine, I'm Tony Jackson.